All right. So welcome everybody. It is the review for week 4. The results should be on your screen. We've got Life West 53 over the Amazons with 10. New York Beantown, much closer match, 27-12. And then Colorado North Shore 56-7. So again, another week with some pretty big score lines. Mike, let's get you going first since you got to go. That's Katie. Here you are.
Awesome. Yeah, I think Bob said he couldn't make the call. I think he sent me an email. Let me just pull it up here. He wanted me to read this.
Flight?
Yeah, he's on a flight.
Okay.
And he said, let me read it here. Mike had a perfect game, no mistakes. He should be promoted. No, I'm just kidding. Bob had some good feedback for me. I think some of the issues were just the optics of kind of creeping back into looking a little lazy again. The game was slower, and Rux moved slowly. So, sorry. Yeah, sorry. And I looked a little lazy. You know, like I wasn't being lazy. I was in the right position, seeing the right calls, but just the effort looked low, and it's definitely something I want to work on. And what happens is when it is a line break or an interception, which happened in this game, I was just a little slow to react because I was just so used to just being on my heels and my heels. So that was about it. Other than that, I think we had a clean game, very easy. The teams are compliant. Had just one yellow card, so
Okay.
I think it went well. Just honestly, it was not that much going on. I struggled to find even clips that we could share that would be necessary, but we did find some.
Awesome. Let's take a look. Let me go to 4. Missed opportunity.
Yes, this is Bob. This is from Bob. So just really early in the game.
Okay. Tackler not rolling.
Yes, exactly. I think that cut a little short, but ultimately the 9 from Colorado had to wait to play the ball, and Bob's mess. I mean, it was less than 30 seconds in, but he's just a great opportunity to set some standards. I was being a little too empathetic too early. So good spot in the field to set a standard.
Okay. Next one says play on penalty kick context.
Yes.
Just play it.
Yes, please.
Are you guys seeing these okay? No lag? I forgot to click the optimize button. So, okay. I can stop sharing and click it the other way and see if it helps. Let's see. See if it's any better.
So I'll give the context around this one. It was a tackle that kind of became maul, and what the coach was asking on the film was, was it collapsed by Green? So let the film goes. We can take a look and see what you think, and if it's necessary for, if it needs a play on, if it needs a penalty kick.
May need to zoom in on this so you can see it a little better. So did you call it a maul?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Let's see. So what do you think after seeing the Colorado coach's comment?
I think I can see their point, but it's difficult to give a penalty against Green for collapsing their own maul. It didn't really give them any advantage. The ball was presentable, but it was fine to play through.
Yep. Anybody feel otherwise? This one just says sanction.
I like to not give too much, just make it eerie. You know,
Okay. Just play it.
this point.
All right. Do you want to tell us what you did on the day, or do you want to just see what people think?
See what people think.
Okay. You want a waterfall, or do you want to just let somebody take it?
Dealer's choice.
All right. Waterfall. Is that what this means? Waterfall?
Look,
Guys,
both Katie and I were doing it without previously communicating to each other, so yes.
Yeah, it was great.
we have a new signal. It's sad it took me that long to figure it out. Okay, does anybody need to see it again, or can we just go?
Can I see it again?
Yes? Back to the beginning. I'll slow it down for you too. All right. On the count of 3. Wendy with the little icon. You make me laugh. All right. On the count of 3. I guess we have play on, we have penalty kick, we have yellow card. 1, 2, 3. All right. So let's see. Alexis, you're at penalty kick. So walk me through what you're seeing.
I think if they were like further down the field, maybe in the attacking 22, I'd lean more towards yellow card, but they seem far enough out and there's defenders coming across. That I guess it could be a line break opportunity, so I can see yellow card. And I'm also not super strong on PK, but that's where I
Okay.
start.
Amelia Luciano, you go yellow card. What are you thinking?
To me, it's a clear, deliberate knock on that prevents a line break.
Okay. A lot of your peers agree with you. I also agree with you. Mike Lawrenson, what'd you do on the day?
PK yellow card.
You happy with it?
Yes, I am. I think the line break was a big deal because I know that Colorado probably would have got really close to the goal line here this break.
So you put this one in here so we would all agree with you and say what a good ref you were?
No, no one agreed. I was just curious as if everyone is like thinking line break is equals yellow card, no matter where on the field. And, you know.
Yes. In 15s, line break equals yellow card.
Right. So I just want to make sure that I was calibrated correctly.
You're good. Is that it?
That was it. I just wanted to wait one more thing that Bob and I talked about. There was an error that I'm doing in an attempt to be empathetic. Sometimes I am too empathetic that I'm outside of the laws of rugby, and I think and he thinks that, and I agree with him that that's not correct because that's not fair. So there were a few instances where, although Chicago was down by a lot of points, I allowed a not straight throw that I knew was not straight to play through, and that equals. That was just a problem because now you're losing credibility because you're not calling things that are wrong in law. So, I think he said you have license to be empathetic in a gray area situation, but not straighten the line out. Things like that are not chances to be empathetic. You just have to follow law, and I think that was a good point for me to learn.
I like that point too.
Wanted to share that.
Put that in your pocket. Carry it forward.
Somebody has a question, I think. Or has
Hey,
their hand
Tim, do
raised.
you mind waiting a second? Hannah has her hand raised. unless it's on the same topic.
Hey, thanks. I'm curious if you all have had any discussions on this sort of intentional knock on the larger conversation around it, and if a ball carrier has actually carried that ball essentially too far in, that pass wouldn't be made anyway, like that they wouldn't actually be able to get that pass off to a person to make that line break. So like that's what I initially saw in this, where it was like that attacker actually carried the ball too far, that she wouldn't have been able to get that pass off because of the defender's positioning anyway, regardless of the hand. Like I agree that the hand out causes a problem here, but I'm just curious if you all have had any discussion about, or if it's in the ether, if it's too much, where it's like that ball carrier actually hasn't put herself in a good position to make that pass to the person for the line break. I don't know.
I think that's an interesting point. It's not something that I've personally discussed. And I also think there's always kind of the chance for like the swim pass or the swing after the tackle is initiated that they lose the opportunity for because the ball gets knocked forward. But that's an interesting comment. Anybody else?
If the pass wasn't going to be good to begin with, then the defender could have either caught the pass or could have just waited for the receiver of the pass to catch it and then tackle that person before they make a gain or are able to run. So I think it's still a deliberate knock on, like you can't hit the ball forward on purpose.
Yeah, and this is Len. To me, I mean, this winger has to know they're in a 1-on-2 situation here. So stepping in the middle and putting your arm out, that's it.
Yeah. I'm happy with this one. That is a pretty clear example for us.
Yeah, it wasn't a question on this example specifically, more just like if this defender had just decided to make that tackle, that ball carrier wouldn't have gotten that pass off to begin with, I think. So I guess I'm like, that's all. That's it.
Okay.
Obscurities.
Those are the most fun. Wait for the scrum clip. Okay, Katie Roth, Mike, go to your tournament, I guess, if you're going to. You can drop. Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
guys. I'll catch up with the meeting.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
So Mike's done. Katie Roth, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. I had Amazons versus Life West. It was a pretty good game. I was surprisingly physically ready for it. Mentally debatable, but it was still a really good game. I feel like I was keeping up pace well. Both teams really came out to play. We're contesting breakdowns a lot. I got to have a lot of time where I just let the play breathe and develop. A lot of turnovers happen. When it wasn't happening, I got to blow the whistle for it. There were a lot of scrums. It sure felt like a lot. And had several scrum PKs as well, which I think I feel pretty good about all of those. And I was trying to think if there's any other weird stuff that was happening. In general, not too many hard decisions, no real trends necessarily that I was seeing. I know that's been one of my goals is trends recognition and escalation, but there weren't really any groupings of penalties in this game. Life West, once they started going, just had a lot of momentum and kept going.
So we're happy with the imbalance in the penalty kicks. We got 12 against blue, who won the game, and 5 against orange.
Yeah, I think I might have been, I guess, holding blue to a slightly higher standard, but I think, I'm trying to remember, it's been a little bit since I reviewed this game.
There was no clear trend that
Yeah.
No, and what we saw early in the match is that blue was starting to slow the match down. And a lot of that could have come through in the penalty kicks. There was a lot of times that we just saw everything was going slower by blue. They knew they were up and they were just gonna coast.
Yeah, it's kind of a mix too of attack and defense penalties by them.
Yeah.
Right there. Yep. Cool.
Yep. And as far as clip loads, I think it actually could be fun to start with my 5th clip in there, the intentional knock, and kind of just continue that conversation. So that should be, yes, that one. It's not as good of a camera angle as Mike's was.
Hey, watch that, bud.
I guess that's a little bit short of a clip. But it is basically that first pass out that gets knocked back. So
how close to end goal are we? We 5 meters out? I'm seeing a flag here and a flag here.
yes, I believe we're about 5 meters out.
Okay. I can't really see any lines on the field. So we're 5 meters out, and that was the last defender who did the knock on.
Hey, watch that, bud.
Yeah, you just can't see anything really.
Yeah, I think it was the second to last defender, but it was still like still an intentional knock within that time frame. On the day I only give a penalty only. I guess I was just curious on thinking and what standard we want to set. I know to me it wasn't quite a line break opportunity because I thought there was other players nearby, but also there's a consideration of we're on the 5-meter line.
And it was the second intentional knock in the game?
Yes, the first intentional knock was kind of in a tackle. She kind of just popped it out of the other gal's hands as she was tackling. And that was, so again, wildly different context, but I think at this time I should be thinking this is the second intentional knock against this team. They are very close to a scoring opportunity. I could set that standard on, get your hands down or have cleaner tackles, not on the ball.
Okay. Without being able to see it better, it's hard for me to say if it would be a yellow card. Anybody else have thoughts? Okay.
I think if it's within, kind of like Alexis said earlier, kind of like in that area near the goal line, if it's a close to the body deliberate knock where it might be part of a tackle, I'm a bit more lenient with maybe penalty only. But if it's like kind of like Mike's that we saw where it's like clearly already left the hands and you've got like a swinging arm coming in this close to the goal line, I'm probably always at yellow card just because of where we are on the field. But I do think like it does matter to me how close that one player is to actually making a tackle. And I think there's a clear difference in, like Amelia said earlier, where there's like a very deliberate action and then more of an unlucky action.
Hey guys, Tyler here. So kind of just, I guess a question there is if we have that far outstretched arm and you're already thinking yellow card and we're 5 meters out, would you, if this is the second time, would you go yellow card penalty try? Or do you think just the yellow card in that situation is more than enough to get the point across?
Well, it depends on whether it was stopped a probable try or not.
Fair enough.
Right. So that's your deciding factor between whether you're just at yellow card or you're at yellow card penalty try.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
I think that was some of my worry as well. I'm like, if I yellow card this, do I have to penalty try it? Because I didn't feel at that realm yet. So I think that's good for me to know as well.
Yep. Yep. You can yellow card without penalty try.
Then back to that first clip, kind of looking at setting league standards again on quick taps. I know we talked about this 1 or 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Sorry, ma'am.
What do you say to her? I can't quite hear it.
Didn't clearly leave your hands. From somehow the angle I was at, I thought I saw the hand still on the ball when it was like tapped by the foot. So I didn't think it clearly left the hands. Although on review, I think I disagree with myself.
Mm-hmm.
She did say sorry, so it sounds like she almost like was like, yeah, you got me.
So what do you think? Do you think you should have called this back? Or you don't have an opinion, you genuinely?
I think I am still 50-50. For what I said on the day, I disagree. But when looking back, I'm still like, was it enough? Was it kicked enough through the mark to be clear and obvious for a quick tap? I think that's what my question on the standard of. Because to me, the ball kind of rocks a little bit, but does it fully, like, how much movement do we need for it to be off the mark?
It needs to be a visible movement, so whatever that means to you.
And I think I would just add we have a little bit more leeway on what a visible movement is when it's on the ground, because if they have it in their hands and they just touch it to their foot and they're off to the races, it takes more time for them to tap it with their foot, bend down and pick it up. Do you know what I mean? So I'm a little, I would give more leeway to one that's on the ground as far as what visible through the mark means. I see her foot go to it and I see the ball pop up, and to me that's how I personally would have let that go.
Cool. Next one, slow lineout entry. I know we've talked a bunch in D1A about walking into a lineout, and this one is actually kind of fun with the audio as well. So
I'm glad you clipped it.
Okay, use it. So definitely on review, like painfully slow. Like the point, like I say use it, and they still wait a little bit before trying to walk in and get the line out going.
Okay. Feel like I've been talking a lot this meeting. Is anybody comfortable going through what our sort of agreed upon expectations at the line out are?
So how many lineouts up to this point have we had? We're like 24 minutes in. Is this?
We'd had a couple. This was definitely the worst and like the one that took the most time. Like they did kind of set off the line and walk into a lot of them, but they did it relatively quickly. But I think this, like Len was saying earlier, is they were trying to slow time down just in general and in many places the game as they can. And this was the most obvious part. I think, going back, instead of saying use it, I probably could have just free kicked right then and there. Just get this game going again.
Yeah,
And
especially if it's, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Elby. No, go, Elby.
Well, especially if it's like early on, even before it gets to like the 20th second mark, like, all right, let's have it like without delay. That way they know like we're not hanging out here. Because at this point, like they're seeing how long they can probably take to get the line out going. But even before it's a problem, let's go. We got to be in a straight line. And then if they're delaying more, now you can act on it. Like you don't have to blow it up as long as they know like we gotta go.
Yeah, and I do think this was either the first, it might have been the second line out by Blue, but it was one or two. They hadn't had many up until this point.
Yeah. This was the first one that I, as the viewer, was like, why is this taking so long? So I would like to see, Katie, you identify earlier that it's taking too long and say, get in the line out. And then if they don't, blow your whistle and say, get in the line out. If not, it's going to be a free kick, right? And we go from there. And each team can get one warning. And after that, we're free kicking the delays right off the bat. And yeah, if we warn one team, make sure that it's not the other team that we free kick, right? Each team gets. What's next?
Next one should be the next one up. So league standard obstruction versus PO. That let's just watch it first and see what everyone feels. So no, I kind of had two questions here. Like day of, especially like now seeing my positioning here, I think I was also body blocked. Like definitely saw number 10 cut behind two of the players, but I didn't see the original person. And there is blue 10 chasing as well, but then gets cut off pretty quickly. By the time that 10 is cut off and gives up, I didn't think anyone was trying to tackle. So I'm like, it's not necessarily obstruction if someone's trying to tackle. But I think in general, what Len and I talked about was what is our league standard? Like, should we allow players to cut behind their team in general? Like, with or without somebody actively trying to tackle you? If it's obstruction, it's obstruction. Like, what standard do we want to set? What are we trying to hold players to?
This is Lindsay. I would hesitate to jump to if it's obstruction, it's obstruction, because I think this is, if you're going to call it, I think this is accidental offside. And a scrum is fine. In the bigger contextual picture, this player gains nothing from this and runs straight into a blue brick wall. So, like, I'm fine with her just being punished with being slammed. I mean, why get involved if the game takes care of it for you? But if in the bigger league picture, running behind players like that, I think it's just an easy accidental offside.
I'm happy with that answer. Anyone have anything else to add?
I think I fall in the professional camp that it's an easy penalty and blow it.
Yep. I guess my thing is there really an obstruction that happens?
Yeah, the first blue player does get caught
10.
a couple times trying to get over. Yeah, and it's twice she gets. And actually, when Katie and I spoke about this, I went back to Lindsay from last year where she was talking about raising the standard. You know what I mean? This is the top level, right? Should this 10 be thinking to slink behind her, the teammates there to get some freedom? And I also agree with Leslie, big blue wall, like, weren't getting anywhere. That's why we thought it was going to be a neat discussion clip.
Yeah. I think we just need to be careful because it kind of sounded like what Katie was saying is anytime somebody goes behind their own players, which would not be right. Like if this 10 wasn't here, I don't think we have obstruction at all. Because this 10 is blocked from making the tackle, I think there's an argument for it. I also agree that it plays out and the tackle is just made right here, so it's like the same for me. Those are my thoughts.
Sweet. I think that was my thought process on the day of like, if she doesn't have a tail of someone trying to tackle her, I'm fine with it. But as soon as that tail happens, it's more of when I want to see that penalty or what I've been thinking. Got two more. This next one should be the waterfall one, which would be fun. So it's kind of a sequence of questionable things, and the main waterfall choice is the very last tackle that happens.
right, so it's that final tackle by Steve Blue. Trying to say. I will say this is not the first time I have seen this exact player make this exact style of tackle. So. I wish we had the other angle.
Yeah. So then if we want to do a waterfall, it would be kind of like a couple different choices there. Either upright versus high versus play on. And kind of like with that is a sanction. Like to you, is this a high tackle? Is this just an upright tackle? Or is this just a play on over the ball tackle? So curious what everyone's thought there.
Is the tackle that they're saying is high, is it also high? The earlier one, it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, and I think to me, both of these tackles are similar. I think they both occur around the ball. This last one I think is a lot closer to being high than the previous one. And I know their orange captain talked to me at one of the next downtimes about watching for high tackles, especially when they're being double tackled. So I think that was the issue. If there's one player going low, the second player coming in high, kind of around the ball, making sure to hold them to the standard of around the ball and not high.
I don't know what's up. It like kept glitching me back. All right. Yeah, did you see you must not have seen head contact on the day because you play through it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I thought it was just a chest-to-chest bounce kind of thing with the ball in between.
Okay. My fear is that we don't actually have good enough video for waterfall to be useful on this. I think we're going to end up all over the map. We can try it. So you want to know if people think it's an upright tackle or a high tackle or play on.
Like a play on tackle. Yeah.
That may put us less all over the map than choosing. I don't know. We can try it on the count of 3. Upright, high, play on. 1, 2, 3. Tim's throwing down over there with dangerous upright tackle. Yeah.
I've seen this player do this way too many times.
Yes.
So that's my background of it.
Yep. I believe you're correct because we're 4 games in and it's a clear pattern.
Has the player been penalized or yellow carded before for this, or is this just something that has been observed on film?
I think we're just observing it on film. I would have to go back and check.
Okay, so I think we should be careful because if we haven't sanctioned it before, there actually isn't a pattern of it. And so we don't want to put players in a bin that may or may not exist, especially because, like you said, on this film, we can't actually tell for sure if there's head contact here.
Okay, fair.
Hey, Amanda, sorry. I have a very sturdy stance, I think, on these. If I can share. I feel like these are just really good without technology to penalize live just as a penalty, because the head contact protocol for me is very backed by the technology. And I think here we've already slowed it down far too many times for my preference. I saw first glance, I was like, "Yep, penalty." You get that live, everybody's happy. Yep, she saw it, she penalized it. The conversation on what color card it is, like every time I see someone who's like, boop, upright, indirect, low degree of danger, yada yada, I'm like, you really saw that all while running, and the person was in your way. Like, impressive. And I just think you can get really wrong there, and then you end up yellow carding something that was, like you said, just chest to chest contact. So I think like my game plan whenever I see this is like, just get the penalty. And then if there's a dead body, we can start having a different conversation if an additional sanction is needed. But like, you give a penalty here, everybody is happy because they know you've seen it, they know you're dealing with it, and we can talk sanctions later. At least that's my hill to die on for that.
Yeah, without TMO, it's going to be pretty tough.
Cool. And I guess just clarification for me, upright tackle in and of itself, is that a penalty or is it only if there's head contact?
Upright tackle with head contact.
Okay, cool. The last clip is just a fun little one.
But I think upright is a good trigger, right? It's like how we used to look at tip tackles. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, wait a minute, right? So it's not saying it's necessarily right away, but it's a good indicator. It could be.
Sweet.
Which one is the last one, Katie?
The breath worth 5 points is how Len put it, which I love how I put it. So.
Woohoo!
It's like I literally brought my whistle to my mouth. I'm like, wait, okay, never mind advantage, and then it was great.
Good work. Thank you. Lynn, any last words from you?
Nope, I'm good.
Cool. Thank you. Make sure you guys finish up that report, please, to do the front page and stuff. All right, so Tim Lou, you are standing in for Jenny Lou today. How was your match?
And Lee Bryant. So I spoke with both of them. I watched the game. I'm just going to read Jenny gave me kind of a prompt. But she said it was a free-flowing, fast rugby match, had good-natured temper. At one point, 3 minutes of continuous ball and play. New York was sporadically disruptive in the first half, very hard to pinpoint a pattern. Could have used more preventive communication early to help curb behavior. Things that went well, dug myself out of a hole that I made, and scrums. Work-ons were consistent advantage application and AI process. Lee's feedback was that similar, she said, oh, this is, unfortunately kind of a vanilla game. There wasn't anything to really pinpoint. There wasn't like a pattern that was recognized. New York was pretty dominant. There was a period of play that Jenny could have maybe analyzed a little differently or set a standard, and then she was able to catch herself. She was able to find an opportunity to get that back. So.
All right, let's check.
My review was it was very, very similar to that stuff. The clip one, I think, is interesting because I watched it over and over, and I think this is a clip that happens a lot, and it's a good talking conversation. So number one, it's off the scrum, and so I think the best thing is to maybe watch it. Everyone can digest it, and then we can maybe talk about it a little bit and see what everyone thinks. So would love to maybe hear what people saw or just first impressions. the first thing I saw here was the 8 unbinds. So the 8 unbound, 9 goes for it. A player comes offside, she kind of pushes them back, and then she penalizes New York for it. It's a series of things, and this has happened. I've seen this kind of come up in D1A. So she unbinds there, they unbind, and then is the scrum out? Is the ball out? Can New York play that?
Yeah, and Jenny gives the PK for offside by the 9.
Mm-hmm.
So what does the law book say about when the ball comes out?
When is the ball out?
Yes.
Who's got the law book?
It's when the 8 unbinds and goes to pick it up. So did the 8 go to pick it up, or does the 8 fake picking it up? I think
I
I've
feel
seen
like
other.
the 8 did not pick it up. I think the 8 unbinds but doesn't go to pick it up. They kind of put themselves in a better position to block.
I think they try to pick it up and it's too far under the second row's feet.
Yeah, look at those arms go down.
Because you see their hands go in, and then they pick it back up and get it with their foot. They may even.
So by law, that ball is out because the 8 has unbound and gone to pick it up.
But did they pick it up?
No, but it doesn't matter if they picked it up or not. As soon as they unbind and they start to pick it up, like go to pick it up, that's when the ball is technically out. Now we could get into the weeds of, was the ball under the 8's feet or was it still under the second row's feet?
Is that
I
part
think,
though, if the 8 unbinds where the ball is?
does it matter?
Yeah.
Well, usually if the 8 unbinds and goes for the ball, then the 8 is no longer part of the scrum and the scrum was under them. So that's why it's out.
Right.
The ball isn't still under the second row.
So if it was under the second row, would that change your decision? Or I guess I'm confused why it matters where the ball is if the 8 still unbinds.
So the reason why it matters because is it technically that the ball is out or not? The bigger picture thing I think though is that we shouldn't be looking necessarily for that, but just to remind the 8 that if you go to pick up the ball, as soon as you unbind and start to pick it up, that's when the ball is out. And it's a management thing.
All of our choices at this scrum are very technical, unfortunately.
I like Lindsay's option.
What did Lindsay say? Call it a knock on. Yeah. Actually, so I was starting to make a list earlier today of all of the things that you could call, and the knock on by the 9 was one of the ones I came up with. Unfortunately, she just really doesn't knock the ball on. But we can tell that on video, but it's not a bad decision on the day. She puts her hands on it, and then she takes her hands off of it.
Now, I haven't dug in the law book on this, but if the 8 goes for it, isn't the 8 supposed to get the ball out of the scrum? The 9 shouldn't be there at all.
I don't think it matters, really. I think the only good decision is this 9 playing the man without the ball.
No, the 9's digging for the ball out. She's literally got 2 hands on it. You can't
She has no hands on the ball.
Can you go back to where she knocked it on? She had hands on the ball when she knocked it on. I feel like you can't penalize dark blue there. Like that, nah.
No, yeah, she wouldn't have expected that player to not have the ball. She thinks the 9 has the ball.
Because the 9 does have the ball.
Yeah,
And
before she knocks it on.
yeah.
Okay, knock on. It's just, it's tough. It's no good decisions, honestly. And you can't let the 8 play the ball away because.
I also think Beantown is kind of faking the ball out of the scrum. So
Yes.
whatever happens, you need to tell them not to do that again.
Yeah. And that's the reason why you can't let the 9 play the ball away, because, I mean, their flankers broke already. Your 9 comes around because the expectation is the ball was out. It's a tough one.
I think the lesson here for players is that's why you play to the whistle.
So, is everybody happy?
Can we just get clarification on, you know, the 8 unbinding and the ball being out? Is that pretty, did we make a decision that, you know, when 8 shoulders come out and they dig for the ball, we are saying ball's out?
Yes. A scrum,
Okay.
ending a scrum, when the number 8 picks the ball from the feet of a second row player.
Okay.
36C.
All right, so clip 2, the notes are, what's the best call here? The process could be cleaner. AR debriefed after the game, and we talked about removing some phrases about rugby incidents. That should be said, that should be only said if it's a nothing. This is where she speaks a little bit about the process. And so she wanted just this to be opened up as a conversation of how you interact with your AR in these situations. So clip 2.
Hold on. Are you okay? What was your name?
So this is a replay, but you can hear Jenny talking to her AR.
The pass is coming. I think penalty only because it's just a rugby incident. I'm okay with that, yeah. Yeah, I need to tell us if you want to stop watching the shoot, I want to come to you. In my pants, freeze in the house. On the left. Can we come later and then score? Yeah. Sub, yeah. Is Casey still out? No, sorry, I don't know who the speaking captain is. Okay, can you find out? Yeah. We need to know who the speaking captain is. Diego, who is the speaking captain? Now they can change off. It's going to be just a penalty only because it's just poor timing. She didn't have, well, it looks like a knock on. They tackled the player without the ball. They didn't have possession. But just penalty only rugby incident. Just bad timing.
Okay, I think that's about it. So she said penalty only, it's a timing incident, it's a rugby incident, it's bad timing. Anybody hear any other things and all that? Garble. What is the question exactly, Tim?
I think the question is how could she have had a better conversation with her AR, cleaner words, more decisive, without using the phrases rugby incident?
So this player was tackled before they've caught the pass, I'm guessing is what happened?
Yes.
Okay, who wants to roleplay that?
I could be the AR if somebody wants to be there. I know that.
Need to call a name. Come on, Lindsay. I see you smirking.
Okay. To tweet. Tim, I saw the
Make
blue
up a number.
player, yeah, blue 7 hit the player without the ball. They hit the player high with force. I'm thinking this is a yellow card. Did you see anything differently?
No, I didn't see anything differently.
Great. Here's your yellow card. I would avoid saying rugby incident. I guess to elaborate, you could bring in the timing thing and say like this is accidental, but and the player just messed up their timing. But rugby incident to me indicates you're seeing something completely accidental that neither of them had any control over, and this tackler has control and needs to tackle safely, even if the timing's poor. And so for me to get to PK, you don't want to use the word rugby incident.
Yeah.
So here's Jenny's, what she wished she said. Referee goes to do the AR and says, I saw the ball and the tackler arrive at the same time. Do you agree? AR responds, yes. Referee says, did blue have possession of the ball? The AR says no. And the referee says, okay, so that's tackling the player without the ball. Because of how close the timing is, I'm thinking a PK only. Do you agree? AR agrees. So that's Jenny's notes. So in the for top.
Or do you want to go ahead, Tim?
Oh, I was just saying we only have 5 minutes, so I was going to try to push through these next clips a little quicker.
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think what Jenny has written down makes sense, and like that follows. If that's what she saw, and I think that's a good way to describe it and much clearer to the players. I think this particular clip has more to it, and that it's high and a little bit high force. So I would elevate it to a yellow.
Yeah, I suspect if we had better video, it may even be a red card, but
yeah, I
we can't
see it well enough
say
to
that
say
from
that,
this.
but yeah.
So, yeah. Let's see. Gosh, we're gonna run over.
Let's just go to we'll go to clip 4, and clip 4 and clip 5 go together.
Okay.
So watch clip 4. So it's not a great angle, but Jenny's notes basically say there's a series of penalties sporadically spaced between 2 and 3 minutes, between 12, 16, 19, and 20, all around the goal line, and Jenny does not take a stance. And Jenny said that she really felt like she missed an opportunity. There was an opportunity missed in that time point. And then we go to clip 5, and in Jenny's words, the rugby gods saved her. And we can watch clip 5, and this gives Jenny an opportunity to.
Hold on, it's the same player again.
Yeah, watching this one, I absolutely expected the card to come at the previous PK, but it was great that she got it at the next one.
Yeah, I just think it's one of these things where we all struggle with it. You know, oh, should I have given that card then? Oh, I missed my opportunity. When's the next opportunity? And so just being kind of cognizant. And Lee talks about the idea of really passing off that pressure. So the expectation is you talk to the captains, you set your standard, you're vocal about it, so that when it happens, it's obvious. In this case, Jenny felt like it wasn't as obvious and she didn't have the time to do it, but then Lee kind of pushed back and said, you need to put the pressure back on the players instead of you trying to hold on to that pressure. So I thought that was an interesting point that Lee made, passing off that pressure.
Let's finish this thing up here.
That's all.
Thank you. All right. So it's just going to wrap up real quick. So this is the end of round 4. I think what's going really well, you know, we're catching the big stuff. I think for the most part, we're avoiding overly technical calls, which is something that has happened to us in previous years. And I think they're getting a chance to really play some good rugby. So I'm really happy with what we're doing and the way that we're working together as a team. So thank you, everybody. Great work. I would say as a group, we need to continue to focus on escalation, getting our chats right and our cards right. As always, advantage and how we use it, when it's over, and when we need to go back. And then I think also just looking at our positioning and making sure we're putting ourselves in the best spot to see the things we need to see. We had a couple of shout outs. I'll just run through them real quick. Tim, thanks for covering for Jenny this evening. She wanted to say thanks to M. Shea for ARing for her last weekend. Tyler, somebody gave you kudos on my review for your interactive session with the waterfall last week. So thanks for doing that. Lindsay, you let Katie borrow a shirt apparently, and she said, thanks, you're awesome. Dan Frankenfeld, who will not hear this, but I'll send him a text because he fed Katie when she was in Minnesota. And also Alexis, thank you for supporting Katie while she was in Minnesota. So good job, team. You're all awesome. No call next week. Enjoy the holiday. 10 o'clock on the dot. Awesome. Stop recording.